Good evening, St. Louis. My name is Melanie Davis, United We Vote chairperson. I hope the information gained from the conversation with City of St. Louis mayoral candidate Tashara Jones will help you make an informed decision when you go to the polls on April 6, 2021. Kara Spencer was not able to attend the forum this evening. However, we will go ahead and proceed. I will now turn it over to Dejanette Williams of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the United We Vote Forum. This evening's forum will be moderated by the one and only Miss Isis Jones of 96.3 FM, the greatest station in the nation. Welcome, Miss Isis Jones.
Yes, thank you so very much. It is such a pleasure to be here this evening with you all. Just saying again, thank you to the City of St. Louis and to our candidates this evening for just basically allowing us to have these questions and this dialogue. Again, you know how important city and local politics are to the world, period. But more importantly, here in St. Louis, the decisions that we make on a personal basis on who we choose to have as our leaders for the city are very, very important. And blessed to be able to have some great candidates, for selection this 2020 mayoral election period. Tonight, we're just having a general and down-to-earth conversation with the one and only Tashara Jones. Again, if you don't know of Tashara Jones, I can't imagine why she is synonymous with being so St. Louis, in the sense of her history as a state representative, all the way to the treasurer's office, and now headed to the mayor's office. And tonight, again, it's just a session of questions to basically get you to know Tashara a little bit more, especially if you have not. I hope there are a lot of people on here who are coming to get as much information as you possibly can. And as stated before, we had our other candidates who were asked to be here this evening. Carl, and we appreciate her time and her work on, her mayoral department as well. But we thank Tashara tonight for being a part of this. Tashara, how are you doing on this beautiful Monday in St. Louis?
Yes, hello, Isis. Hello, everyone. I'm doing well. I am pushing through these last 15 days. And hopefully, or like my mother always says, God willing and the creek don't rise, we'll be victorious on April 6th.
No, that is definitely the plan of action. Again, we really do appreciate you taking this time out of your schedule, Tashara. Now, again, we kind of want to open this in the sense of maybe just a basic statement of your position, and we can dive into that a little bit more once you're completed.
Great. So good evening, everyone. I'm Treasurer Tashara Jones, and I use the she series pronouns. Electing a mayor with executive experience, relationships on the local, state, and national level, and a background in healthcare is what this moment demands. We don't have time for leadership that has to learn on the job. At the core of my campaign is a simple belief that you should be able to succeed here regardless of your skin color, who you love, how you worship, your zip code, or any identity you hold. This pandemic has laid bare the inequities that have always existed in our city. Racism, the unequal delivery of city services, and access to healthcare are all issues that have permeated our policymaking decisions for generations. It's time to say no to business as usual and say yes to a St. Louis that's ready to tackle the 21st century. I'm running because a coalition of voters, supporters, and even those who don't support me are crying out for help. And what I hear is a call for leadership that's ready to lead, govern, and unify on day one. We have $500 million in federal aid on its way to our city, and we need a mayor who's going to distribute these funds with an eye towards equity and the experience to move quickly. So to the single mom who's struggling to make ends meet, to the LGBT plus youth who are wondering if St. Louis is a home for them, and to anyone who's felt like your government has left you behind or plain out forgotten you, I see you and I'm ready to serve. We need to see plans to solve crime are great, but we can't condense them into a 10-point plan and call it a day. We need to show up in our communities and work with our neighbors to develop a strategy that works for and with them. Crime and violence don't stop at our borders, and we need a mayor with relationships to the West and the East to work towards short and long-term solutions on day one. I'm the only candidate in this race ready to hit the ground running and deliver real results for the people of the city of St. Louis. Thank you.
Shara, you just answered all my questions, girl. I don't know what to do now. Well, but seriously, that is one of the biggest complaints I hear about St. Louis is the crime, Tashara. You know, and I understand, and many of us understand, it's so multifaceted in the sense of what the problem is and basically how to counteract it. But one of the biggest challenges, you know, in any big city with any mayor, you're going to have these issues. But what are some of the key strategies that you know that you want to implement to address the significant and growing crime here in St. Louis?
So simply put, we need to put the public back in public safety. And that means deploying the right professional to the right call. Research already done in the North Patrol District shows that up to 50% of calls can be answered by someone other than police. And not only has St. Louis had the most violent year on record in the year 2020, we're also first in the nation in the number of police-involved shootings. And obviously, a majority of the victims of both of those are African American. So how can we transform our public safety department to lead with prevention and diversion programs instead of this old and tired arrest and incarcerate model, because it's not making any of us safer. So I want to work with our neighbors to the east and the west. We need to develop holistic solutions, and we need to develop a regional plan to address crime and violence in our city. We need to declare gun violence as a public health crisis, bring our flagship universities to the table. And again, our neighbors to the east and the west. We cannot forget East St. Louis as a part of this region. We cannot forget that our neighbors to the west are a part of this region as well. And everybody needs to be at the table to solve this problem regionally, not just St. Louis.
No, agreed. Now, with that said, and crime being, you know, some of a little martyr, what are some of the issues that you will address in your first 100 days, or that you really want to address, Tashara?
So first and foremost, we have to address the money that's coming down the pipeline from the federal government. And while there are other candidates who have put out plans that talk about home ownership and all these grandiose plans, I take a more conservative approach and a thoughtful approach. I think that obviously we need to take care of people first, renters and mortgage assistance first. Take care of our small businesses, making sure that they can reopen, and then also taking care of our healthcare, standing up multiple mass vaccination sites and engaging our FQHCs and community health workers and community health centers and our flagship hospitals to do mobile outreach. Everybody can't make it down to an arena to get a shot. So how can we meet people where they are and also give them the specific information to make the best choices for themselves and their families? Standing up public Wi-Fi, because many of our children are still at home, and making sure that they have access to Wi-Fi so they can complete their schoolwork at home. And you know, and then we'll have a pot of money that we'll do some participatory budgeting with, really getting the input of the community and having them let us know what's the best use for these funds.
Now, that's very interesting, and it's interesting that you're coming from a standpoint of being a treasurer of this city to actually, you know, becoming the mayor. And I'm always kind of curious of how that insight gives you a better position in the sense of being able to be a great mayor for St. Louis with that type of background. How does that help you?
Well, the first thing that I'll have to do as mayor is pass the budget. And I have presented 8 budgets in my time as treasurer to the Board of Aldermen and have gone through that process. And that gives me, you know, great insight to where certain funds are located. And also as the treasurer, I am the chief cash management and investment officer. And that's why I take a conservative approach, instead of just saying we have $500 million and we got to spend it all. We have until 2024 to spend this money. And we don't have to spend it all right away. And so that's why I want to take a measured approach, a strategic approach, see if we can put some away to shore up our reserves. Because also if we do that, then that increases our credit rating. My credit rating under the treasurer's office was increased twice in my tenure. So these are things that I know about. These are things that I've done. And so we need someone who has experience with dealing with the city's finances in the mayor's office. I'm not going to take any steam away from our wonderful comptroller, but I think it'll be better for her that she has someone that has the experience dealing with our city's finances in addition to her and on the board of ENA. So we'll have to, again, you'll have someone with experience sitting at the table going forward.
Definitely that, Hampton graduate, and then on top of that, your state representative experience as well. All of that does play into being able to make better and great decisions. Now, we all know that we haven't had an African-American mayor for a very long time, Tashara. And I'm quite sure that does kind of pepper people's ideas of the overall leadership of St. Louis and where it's going. But aside from race, what distinguishes you from your opponent as the best choice for voters?
Well, let's look at our careers. I've been in politics since the year 2002. And some may say that makes me a career politician. I embrace that. I don't shy away from that because that's not a bad thing if you're doing politics the right way and using your power for good and not evil. Also, let's take a look at our professional resumes. I have a bachelor's in finance, a master's in health administration, as well as training from the JFK School of Government at Harvard University. I think my opponent only has a bachelor's in math. Not that that's a bad thing. Everybody knows, got to know how to count, right? But those are two, I would say our resumes alone and my resume as a public servant is much longer than my opponent's.
Now, you did mention at the very beginning, your pronouns and of course, being supportive to the LGBT community. How is that important to you, Tashara? Because again, a lot of people are feeling left behind and left out in the process and the growing of St. Louis.
Yes, absolutely. And, also, like I said at the beginning, at the base of my campaign is a belief that you should be able to succeed here, regardless of your skin color, who you love, how you worship, your zip code, or any identity you hold. And right now, St. Louis doesn't do a good job of setting the table and making everyone welcome. Or making them feel like they can succeed here. We cannot expect our city to be all it can be if half of it is left to fend for itself. And that half, in my opinion, is all points north of Del Mar and some points in South St. Louis. And we leave whole communities behind. The last time we had a in-person Pride Fest downtown, that there was a scandal around that because of how our current mayor treated our LGBT plus community, and several of them dropped out of the Pride Parade. We have to set the table and recognize the lived experiences of people who are different from us. And when they call out things that are important to them, it's important for us to listen and learn.
No, thoroughly agreed. And I think the one thing that I'm kind of excited about as far as St. Louis is concerned, Tashara, is just the fact that there are so many, even with where we are with crime and with different disparities in the city, we still have opportunities, especially in tech, downtown and in different areas are growing. Is there anything that excites you in the sense of the future of St. Louis that you would like to share and kind of gets you excited about what we have coming forward?
I am excited about our potential here. And again, we can use this pot of federal dollars to really make some lasting changes in our city that are going to be visible, not only to us, but also to our children. What kind of investments will we be making with this money that we will see for generations to come? I'm excited about if I win, being able to really tackle generational wealth and redlining and making sure that homes in North St. Louis are worth just as much, if not more, than homes in South St. Louis, because we've all driven around our city. We know that the same housing stock exists in the 2nd Ward as it is in the 13th Ward, right? We see identical houses with the arched doorways. You know, we know that that exists, and we know that redlining still exists. So I am looking forward to really pushing back and trying to really push the needle on creating generational wealth for African-American families.
And that's something that I've, enjoyed watching as far as Treasurer's Department, and how that you've incorporated these different programs into finance, because again, that it situates our freedom in a lot of different ways when we're able to really negotiate and develop these different programs to help people financially. Will those be kind of some of the programs that you would want to take with you to the mayor's office?
Absolutely. I want to expand them and spread them all over the city. And then also our children's program with the College Kids Children's Savings Account program. I want that to be synonymous with enrollment in any public school in the city of St. Louis. And people, can't wait. I want it to be so good that people can't wait to put their kids in kindergarten in an SLPS or a charter school in the city, right? I know I'm going to put my kid in kindergarten in a public school in the city because they're going to get an account and, they're going to start saving for college. That's the kind of excitement I want to build around that program. And right now, our oldest cohort, or I'll call them all my babies. I got 18,000 babies saving money, and our oldest cohort is in the 5th grade. So we're going to see how we can change some of our incentives as they go into middle school and learn more about finance. Maybe we'll bring in how to play the stock market, and how to have some real ownership in companies, and really teach them about how to build wealth. So those are the things I'm really excited about as we expand our financial empowerment programs, and also bookending the program, right? So how do we also take care of our babies as they are coming out of school? So in my opinion, our kids should be graduating with 2 pieces of paper in their hand, no, 3, their diploma, their credit score or credit report that we've worked with them on to make sure that it's cleaned up, because we know what happens sometimes with our babies and their social security numbers, and also a job offer or a letter saying, this is where an acceptance letter of where they're going to do their post-secondary education, be that a trade school or a vocational school or a union apprenticeship or a 4-year college. Those are the 3 things that our kids should be graduating with. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Very cool. I'm excited about money and freedom.
Yes.
But Tashara, I'm getting a little personal. It's kind of like, how is your family doing with all of this? I know that would be a not a major job because you're already the treasurer of St. Louis, but the mayor position, how excited are you with including your family, and how are they kind of processing all of this as well?
My son is excited. And he's more excited about who's going to drop him off at school in the mornings. Is that going to be your bodyguard? Are they going to drop me off? Can you pull right in front of the school so they see me walking in?
I know that's right.
And I know that my dad is excited, because many of you on this call knew who he was and who he is. He's not gone anywhere. And the respect that he has in this community for the things that he did for Black businesses when he was comptroller. And I take that same spirit with me to the mayor's office. It really makes me sad that we've had billions and billions of dollars in investment in this city in the last decade, and we don't have more Black millionaires. I think we can count the number of Black millionaires that we have in this city on one hand, maybe 3 fingers. I don't know. So how can we really build our Black business capacity and be the next Atlanta, right? The destination for Black businesses, knowing that they'll get a fair shot and a fair shake at these government contracts as they are up for bid. And then how do we provide the technical assistance for them to succeed? We need to provide every Black business with a bail team. B stands for banker, A stands for accountant, I stands for insurance agent, and L stands for lawyer. So how do we provide a bail team for every Black business, or every business period, but every Black business that opens in this city, and put some real focused and intentionality on building Black wealth here?
Now, you do, again, have a degree in health. And with that saying, you know, we have been through one of the roughest years of all of our lives, Tashara. With the vaccine being, you know, distributed, and again, the disparaging aspect of African Americans with our health, you know, it's kind of like, what do you think that you will want to do, you know, hitting the ground your first, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 days?
We definitely have to set up some mass vaccination sites and work with our counterparts in St. Louis County. One of the reasons why I think our health department hasn't been as responsive is because we haven't delivered direct services in our health department for decades. Because I remember standing up the immunization clinic at People's Health Centers when the St. Louis City Health Department stopped doing immunizations. You used to be able to go to, what was it, 634 North Grand, the right there across from or next to the Symphony. And that was the health department. And you could go there and get your STD testing. You could go there and get your immunizations if you weren't caught up. But, you know, obviously once that building shut down, it's now a hotel, but we don't provide direct services. And I think that really caught us, you know, by surprise as we tried to respond to a global pandemic, not being a health department that doesn't provide direct services anymore. So I want to really partner with St. Louis County's health department to see how we can pool some of our resources coming from the federal government to make sure we can stand up multiple mass vaccination sites, also some mobile vaccine clinics, visiting our people in our nursing homes who can't leave, making sure that they are safe, and really tackling COVID-19 the way it's supposed to, with city and county working together and in tandem, and not working against each other, and not having multiple or different health directives depending on if you lived in the city or in the county. That stops.
Now, that's a really big statement right there. That's a very, I really want to kind of tackle that for a second, because even coming back into the city, Tashara, that has been the biggest like disconnect for me, in the sense of seeing the differences between the city and, you know, the county. Mm-hmm. How would you even begin to tackle that to a certain degree? I mean, I know that your relationships are strong, so I'm kind of banking on that.
Yeah, it's just communication, opening up the lines of communication between myself and Dr. Sam Page, our staffs, making sure that they're communicating with each other. I think that, you know, there's some opportunities there also on law enforcement and our sharing of information there to help us solve violent crime, because we know that, you know, our people are transient. They're going across the borders, across the river. So we need to say that, hey, wherever you go, we will find you, because we will be communicating with each other and know where you are, as far as, you know, our trying to solve violent crime. Because again, it's everybody's problem. It's not, you can't just say this is just St. Louis City's problem.
Now, and that's kind of interesting too. It's like, because it seems like some people don't really take that seriously until they're held responsible for those actions, you know, even as being parents or, you know, younger adults as well, until you put a tax on it, so to speak. But that is a good point of contention in the sense of being able to partner with these groups and to be able to have those conversations, to, you know, at least open up the dialogue. So your relationships with the police here in the city is decent as well.
Yes, I've been endorsed by the Ethical Society of Police, which we all know is the Black Police Officers Union. as well as fire, the Black firefighters. So they are supporting my campaign, and that should also be telling that you got the Black firefighters and the Black police officers supporting the Black candidate. But it's also it's also an indictment on how we really have not addressed our racism in this region or in this city, that we still have two separate, the need to have two separate two separate unions or organizations for our police and firefighters.
No, I definitely agree on that. Tashara, I just want to remind everyone again that they can get information and more and follow you on a number of different platforms. TasharaForMayor.com is the website. And I want to remind everybody again, it's just a conversation with Tashara Jones this evening. I apologize for not being able to have more questions from the audience, Tashara, but I'm quite sure those are coming in droves right about now. You only have the last 2 weeks sprint. Is this what it is?
15 days. Well, 14 now that it's after 7 o'clock. After 7 o'clock, we start counting the next day.
This has been, I mean, it's kind of like, I can imagine, the first time in the sense of being a treasurer, but this must feel a little bit different. I mean, because you were the first African-American female treasurer of St. Louis. Can you imagine being the first African-American female mayor? How hefty is that, sis, to you?
It's very heavy, and I don't take it lightly. I'm not running just so I can have a title. I'm running because I believe in St. Louis, and I want us to win. St. Louis has been on the news for so many bad things recently, and it's time for us to be on the news for good things. We need to stop, we all saw 60 Minutes. And 60 that segment in 60 Minutes really outlined what's at stake in this race, because Kim Gardner needs someone who's going to cooperate with her and fund her programs, because we elected her to do criminal justice reform, but then we cut her off at the knees by not funding the things that she needs. So we can't sit here and complain about crime and not fund the things that we know are going to prevent crime. And cure violence is just one of the tools in the toolbox. We have to use all the tools in the prevention toolbox if we really, really want to address violent crime in our region.
Now I have one more question, and I apologize. This is all me because I'm a big HBCU graduate and supporter. This has been a big year for our HBCUs. And with your degree from Hampton, how has it kind of shaped how you look at the system that we all are kind of living in and working in? And better yet, how does that kind of affect you moving forward in the sense of helping that system?
Yeah, so I think we're fortunate in St. Louis that we have an HBCU right in the middle of our city. At Harris Stowe, and being an HBCU grad and former faculty there. I was adjunct faculty at Harris Stowe. That makes me want to help that university even more and make sure that those students win. I've had interns from Harris Stowe in my office since I was treasurer. I have a great working relationship with the current president. Actually was on a selection committee to pick the current president. And HBCUs are special places, and you can't get those 4 years back. And they nurture and prepare us in an environment that's familiar to us to deal with all of the racism and the microaggressions and the all of the things that happen to us in the workplace, in my opinion. And so, being an HBCU grad and seeing the great year that HBCU grads have had across this country just really makes me even more proud that I made that decision to go to Hampton.
Yay, LU. But before we jump off, I definitely just had a question actually come in from Rise Black that, funny enough, I really did think about initially when you started, but it's a real question, Tashara, in the sense of how do we address the workhouse?
Yes.
Because that is like breaking my heart daily in a sense. And then we just saw the outcry of the men that are in there. How do we address this for real?
So that's also part of my first 100 days. I will close the workhouse. And we will fix the problems at the CJC downtown. And we can do those simultaneously. But we also have to hold the leadership accountable. These problems have been going on for months, and they have been ignoring people and ignoring their cries. There's a suggestion box or a complaint box in the CJC that people can put their complaints in. And it's full, it's overflowing because nobody empties it. You know, and that's ridiculous. We have to treat our detainees with dignity and respect. I don't care what they did, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And we're not. And that is an indictment of the leadership that's currently there. So we're going to fix the problems. We're going to treat people like we want to be treated. We're going to use the golden rule. And we're going to, again, fix the problems there and close the workhouse and move people through the system. We need to see which people actually need to be there, because most of our detainees are for pre-trial. They haven't been tried yet. So who needs to be there and who can, go through a diversion program, through the circuit attorney's office, or, how can we help people get jobs post release? There are a whole host of things that we need to be doing with our detainees that we're just not doing.
Okay. And of course, you opened up a can of worms on that one, Tashara. So we got 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is your criteria for well, let's start with, what are your thoughts on cash bail, since we're talking about the workhouse? That's from Kim.
And I think we need to abolish cash bail because unless you are a danger to yourself or a danger to others, that's the only reason why you need to be behind bars. And we need to abolish cash bail. Not being able to afford bail should not be a reason why you're behind bars, unless, obviously in violent crime. Let me give you that quick caveat there. But if it's, a minor parole violation, that we're actually paying more money to keep you behind bars than we're getting back from the state. We're not even going to talk about how we're not getting paid from the state for the prisoners that we have, but yeah, we need to abolish it.
What is your criteria for a new public safety director, I guess, in correlation to all of that?
Yeah, so the public safety director that I will be recruiting will be someone that has experience managing hundreds of people, because the public safety division is the biggest part of our budget. It's more than 50% of our money goes towards public safety. So that's police, that's fire, that's corrections, it's building division, and one other division I can't think of. I'm sorry, I can't think of the 5th one, but it's a lot of moving pieces, and we need someone with experience who has experience dealing with all of those different departments, because they all have different needs. So someone with an eye towards community, whose experience thus far has been building relationships and building programs that bring people together. It'd be nice to have a Black woman there, but we'll see. Because I think that women lead from a different place. But also, someone who, and I'm not opposed to bringing in somebody from outside to get some fresh eyes on our public safety department, because it seemed thus far we've only had public safety directors from St. Louis. I think it's time to have someone from outside to get a fresh set of eyes on what we can be doing with experience leading public safety in other cities.
No, and fresh eyes are always a good perspective to have, Tashara.
Mhm.
Tashara, this has been an incredible conversation. I really thank you for your strength and your courage to move forward with this position. It's a big position, but but you're poised for it. You have been prepared for this. And again, April 6th will be the date to make sure that everyone is understood. You already know where your voting polls are, and you have your ballots and all that information. And you can get more information about Tashara Tashara Jones by logging on to tasharaformayor.com. But Tashara, I want to go ahead and give you the opportunity to go ahead and give your closing remarks, and again, just to let St. Louis know.
Great. So when I was growing up in the Hamilton Heights, Wells, Goodfellow, and Walnut Park neighborhoods, I wanted to be many things, but going into politics was something I said I would never do. Well, my mama, God rest her soul, used to say the quickest way to make God laugh is to tell him what you would never do. See, it's one thing to have a vision or a platform, but it's something totally different to turn that vision or platform into a reality. And that's exactly what I've done in the treasurer's office the last 8 years. I'm the only candidate in this race with the executive experience of turning a platform into a reality, the management experience of managing a budget of millions of dollars and a staff of hundreds of people, and the existing relationships on the local, state, and national level to put St. Louis back on the map. I'm asking you to dream bigger, because bigger and better is indeed possible. But this change, not incremental change, but real transformational change, requires a mayor who's ready to embrace a new vision for St. Louis. You need a champion and someone that will fight for you. See, this is about all of you, whether you live in Penrose, Holly Hills, or everywhere in between. Let's build a new St. Louis together. In the St. Louis that you and I are going to build together, police will not be the only answer when you dial 911. Youth will be at the center of our planning. Tax revenues will help fix our leaky civic systems, and your government will be open to you. We don't have time for leadership that has to learn on the job. We need a mayor to lead on day one, and I will be that mayor. I'm running to create our St. Louis, united, strong, confident, and equitable. And to stay involved, text Team TJ to 77948 to get involved today. I'm Tashara Jones. I use the she series pronouns, and I'm asking you to say yes to me for mayor of the city of St. Louis.
Tashara Jones, thank you so very much for your time again, and for your leadership and your expertise. We want to thank everyone who has been a part and who is checking out the forum and the conversation this evening. Again, United We Vote of St. Louis Mayoral Forum has been a pleasure in the sense of just knowing that we have an organization and a number of people who are committed to making sure that you get the best information you possibly can, and are able to really make the best decision you can at the polls on April 6th. But we wanted to sit here and say thank you to Melanie Davis, Westside, representing Westside Missionary Baptist, as well as Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the St. Louis Metropolitan Alumni, also the St. Louis Alumni Chapter, Beta Delta Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Upsilon Omega Chapter, the National Coalition of 100 Women, of Black women, to Lisa Jackson Ivy. So many incredible people, Tashara, who really wanted to make sure that our candidates' voices were heard. And again, for those who need to be reminded that Kara Spencer was not able to attend tonight, but we deeply appreciate her continuance with her election as well. But Tashara, thank you again so very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing how this all plays out on April 6th, and we really do wish you the best.
Thank you for having me. Good to see everybody. And hey, sorors, I had to say that.
Oh, that is perfect.
Thank you, everyone. This has been one. Thank you, Tashara. Thank you, Isis. This has been wonderful. Thank you all. And thank you.
And that will conclude our conversation with Tashara Jones for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, again, just vote your conscience and make sure that you got all the information that you basically need to make the right decision for yourself and for your neighborhood and your city. We thank you so much for being a part of the conversation this evening. And you all have a blessed night.
Thank you, Sister
Thank
Jones.
you, you as
Thank
well.
you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.